I get myself into?
You know, it's hard to say when there's snow on the ground, but last time I attempted this, I have to say I failed it and the ground was dry. So we might be in the middle of something that we're not really prepared for.
So I have no idea what to expect from this trip because this is my first real overlanding experience. I've been building out my Jeep and I've been trying to get to the point where I can actually do these kind of adventures. And yeah, I just reached out to Justin. I was like, hey, let's do a trip. We were planning a bunch of stuff out and he's like, why don't we do the Pony Express? It's something I want to do. I was like, okay, what is that? I have no idea. The first time I attempted an overlanding trip, I failed and had to turn back early. I wasn't prepared for the conditions we encountered, and I didn't fully know what I was getting myself into. But that failure showed me a few key things that I needed to do. One is I needed to find a way to sleep off the ground, so I got a rooftop tent and mounted it to the cage on the back of my Jeep. Number two is that I needed a few more pieces of gear for recovery in case anything goes wrong, and also just a few things that would make it easier to thrive on the trail. And number three is that I realized that I should meet up with an experienced overlander so that I can learn from someone that knows the ropes.
Hi friends, I'm Justin B. McBride. Behind me is my Jeep Cool Rick. It's a 2019 Jeep JLU Rubicon. I am what I would like to call an amateur adventurist. I like to do overland style travel. We're really pushing our limits, and I thought it'd be fun to have Jevin along and put his Gladiator to work as well.
The Pony Express was a mail service that started in 1860 and only operated for 1 year. They delivered mail on horseback from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento, California, on a trail that had 190 stations along the way. The riders and the horses would switch off at each of these stations so that the mail never stopped moving on its journey. Letters would arrive in 10 days from one end all the way to the other. Justin has mapped out a section of the Pony Express that extends from Salt Lake City to Tahoe. However, there are a few challenges that stand in our way. On this trail, there are multiple mountain passes, and we won't know the conditions of the trail on these passes until we're attempting to go over them. They could be completely covered in snow and impassable, or there could be other things in the way that will stop us from continuing on. And on top of it, I only have 3 days to complete this trail. So if we don't make it to Tahoe by the end of day 3, we're gonna have to turn back. So I actually started my journey in Southern California and drove all the way to Salt Lake City to meet Justin at the start of the trail. When you're traveling on trails, you want to air down your tires, which allows there to be more surface area on your tires for improved grip, and the lower air pressure gives you a smoother ride over rough terrain. For this trail, we dropped all of our tires down to 20 psi.
Weather-wise, I think we're actually clear skies until Thursday, but it is the desert, so anything can happen.
Single-digit nights, and I'm sleeping in a tent on top of my Jeep.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be warm enough, I hope, for you. I'm sleeping in the Jeep, so I have a little more insulation.
Yeah, so the Pony Express, the route that we've picked on the Pony Express is roughly 550 miles from Salt Lake to Lake Tahoe, 95% of that being dirt.
Along the route of the Pony Express, you'll find monoliths like this one and other monuments and markers that delineate all of the Pony Express stops that a rider would have stopped at on their way to Sacramento or on their way back to Missouri. So, I think I lost all my filters. My filter case is nice and open right here. I think we just drove off without it. Man, that sucks. We've got to go back in time, which means back down the trail, which means it's going to put us in camp at night. Yeah, in the dark, in the cold. biggest concern with backtracking to find his filters is it's about 30 miles back. And the hope is that we still have enough fuel to reach our first fuel stop tomorrow. Fingers crossed, let's find some filters. My Shimoda case keeps it nice and dry. There's all my filters.
All of them are in there.
Yep.
It looks like, I mean, look at the dent in the snow. It got ran over.
So what? Oh, yeah, that's definitely the ND filter. Let's see if it survived.
No way.
It got run over and it still survived. So you think we'll have enough gas now that we just drove an extra 30 miles? You know, there is just something about me and the Pony Express. It's just like my bad luck trail.
Back in October, Justin tried this trail for the first time, and between the trail conditions and a few mistakes, they had to turn back early.
Another 55, are we gonna get to Nevada today?
That's the goal.
So are we just like hitting the border and that's where we're stopping?
That's just on the other side of it.
Let's get out of Utah.
With the mistakes that we made early on, we had to stop at sunset just shy of the Nevada border and get ready for the first night on the trail.
So I want to say a special thanks to DZO Film because they're sponsoring this video and they've sent me their entire lineup of full frame primes. So I'm shooting everything on my A7S Mark III and my A7C, but all the B-roll that you're going to see in this video is shot on this whole set of primes. And so if you want to learn more about why you would want to use a set of cinema primes over just your standard lenses, I'm going to do a follow-up video that goes through what makes these lenses so special and why you would want to get a set of cinema primes.
So we just did a simple stir-fried chicken, peppers, onion, some cilantro because we're getting fancy. But essentially we're just gonna have dinner, clean up some stuff around camp, make sure we're good to go for tomorrow, and then get in our tents, and he's gonna get in his Jeep. And we're just gonna hunker down for the night because there's not really much else to do at night out here.
So last night there was a crazy windstorm around midnight, and it looks like my entire rain flap flipped up and over, and my whole tent is kind of tilted. I'm gonna go see what happened. Hopefully nothing's ripped or anything. The rain flap, which sits on top of the whole tent, there's a zipper that goes all around the lining inside the hard shell. And somehow that unzipped all the way and then flipped this way. And then also the wind must have pushed this, the piece that sticks out over, the ground, up, because my ladder was like pushed in and this was at an angle, so my feet were like kicked up. If that would have come off and it had been snowing or raining, would have been a much worse situation. This is fine. We'll figure it out and then make sure it doesn't happen tomorrow night.
Takes care of this trail, so up until now it's been super easy. However, at this point we begin seeing signs of the rough road ahead. Today we're going to try and catch up on our lost time, but we're not sure what we're going to find on the mountain passes ahead.
Right now, I mean, there's definitely some snow, and there's a few spots that have been a little slick, but it's not what we were expected, so kind of lucked out because this could be kind of treacherous going through here. On Cool Rick here, I do not carry any extra fuel cans. Why? It is because I have an auxiliary fuel tank, so I don't need to. I carry all of my fuel in a second tank under the vehicle. However, if you're to fuel up. If you're like Jevin, you probably need to carry some extra fuel in cans, which he's doing with some Rotopacks. So he has four 4-gallon Rotopacks, and because I am an expert at 5th grade math, that is 16 gallons of extra fuel, so roughly the same amount of extra fuel that I'm carrying.
We lucked out because it's been a super dry year until now. Most of the mountain passes so far haven't given us much trouble, and we haven't had any major setbacks because of trail conditions. So at the end of the canyon here, there's a little graveyard, and there's an unmarked grave, and they think it might be a Pony Express rider. I just can't believe they rode this whole thing on horses just year round. Because like, I can't imagine being on a horse right now doing this entire thing. Not only freezing, but just the distance and everything else. Like, it's kind of crazy. It's nice being in the comfort of my truck with all of my supplies. The world was a different place back then. All right, we just came down over our 3rd mountain pass, and we're trying to figure out what our plans are for the rest of this route.
We're trying to get to basically the end of that, which is the end of the Diamond Mountains, because we're going to bypass rather than going over that, because that's just a pain in the butt. But to get to that, we've got 2 silt fields, basically 3 silt fields to pass. So that's 2 more mountain passes, 3 silt fields, and a 3rd mountain pass.
So we're talking like a mountain pass like we just came through,
yeah,
and then a landscape like this, basically to the next mountain pass.
So 3 more of this, what we just did.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I don't
there's a lot of nothing out here.
There is an area, it's called Ruby Valley, and it's right here. So right after Ruby Valley, you go up this area, and this is littered with camp spots.
It's crazy, just like the big open landscapes out here. Like,
and people showed up, like, think of Salt Lake Valley, this is what it used to look like, and they got there and they're like, this looks like a good spot for a city. Okay, well let's get through this one and we'll see how fast this goes. If this goes quick, then we might still be able to make it, but if this goes as long as it took us last time, then that's not happening.
Day 2 is what you think of when you picture an overlanding adventure. We traveled through long stretches between mountain ranges and pushed forward towards our goal as we followed the original Pony Express route. It's just us and the endless beauty. 5:15. The sun is down over the mountains, so it's starting to get cold, and it's a clear night. Like, clear nights mean that it's gonna be cold, like very cold. It's already 23 degrees and it's dropping. This is gonna be a rough night in the tent. It's, look there, it dropped again. It's down to 22. You know, if it's this cold at 4, I can only imagine what it's gonna be like at 4 a.m. before the sun starts coming up. Even with our determination to catch up on last time, we're still pretty far behind our original plan. We call it just as the sun sets and find a campsite on one of the mountain passes along our trek.
So why even overland? Like, I keep getting the question, like, why do this? It just seems like a lot of driving, and then you sit around and eat at a campsite.
Yeah, the thing that I want to do is the thing I shouldn't do, and that is define overland. Everybody has kind of their own definition for it, but for me, it's that the journey is the destination. I can't even describe it. It's the same thing as saying, like, why are you hiking? All you're doing is walking to go sleep on the ground somewhere. Well, there's an exhilaration that comes from it that you can't really describe until you do it.
So last night was definitely a cold night. It's like a fridge in here. That's all ice. The only thing that saved me is this electric blanket. Basically just kept me warm with the Sub-Zero sleeping bag. It's 9 degrees outside. None of my cameras are even working because it's so cold. Like, everything's just frosted up. Oh man.
So we just packed up camp as fast as we could and got out because there's no point in sitting around in 9 degrees weather trying to make breakfast or anything. So we're just getting on the road and get moving and try to get to Eureka, which is the next stop, which is where we're gonna get gas. We have to air up our tires because today we're gonna be doing a mix of pavement and on dirt. You don't want to be going on pavement with super low tires. So we're gonna air up now in this 12-degree weather and see what the rest of this trail has in store for us, because neither of us have been on any of these parts now.
It's brand new. This is brand new to me.
You excited?
I am excited, actually. I think this is where adventure begins.
The adventure began at the beginning for me.
Yeah, we just took 3 days for this adventure to start.
Eureka is a small mining town in northern Nevada. With a population of 610, its tagline is the friendliest town on the loneliest road.
Last time here is where Justin decided to part ways and stop doing the trail. So we're gonna try to finish this trek. And today's supposed to be the end of it. We're supposed to get into the final stretch tonight, but who knows? We don't know trail conditions.
After a short drive on Highway 50, we find the trail again.
It's been more than 10 years since my last tetanus shot.
Yeah, I'd be careful with that.
This section does not look maintained at all, so we air our tires back down because of the rough road ahead.
Oh man, isn't it good to be back on dirt?
Yeah, this is nice.
I didn't expect it to be this
Slow moving right here. So yeah, you gotta watch out for all these ruts and just all the washouts across this.
Yeah, there's definitely some massive dips here.
Some of these, even though they look shallow, if you were high speed, they would trigger an airbag for sure.
This trail is definitely taking a turn.
This is the Pony Express.
This is what you picture though when you think of a horse riding across the desert to deliver mail. there are barely any tire tracks in front of us. This is really rad.
Yo, these cows look angry. They're like staring at me and they are not happy with me walking here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say you're doing something kind of dumb.
I'm gonna walk away and maybe they'll just get scared of the Jeeps. I don't know.
Jump in, I'm gonna honk the horn. Hopefully they don't charge me. Look, Cal, I have horns too.
The closer we get to Tahoe, the rougher the trail gets. With the snow on the trail, we get stuck in a downhill section and end up needing to come up with a way to get past safely.
You came over right here, so you might want to. So you're gonna try to get up on these.
Yeah, you gotta keep me on these.
If you get past that, do you think that's enough to get to that?
No, we might have to lay them out again.
So we've definitely come to a pretty hard challenge. We have a kind of a slant with snow and ice, and it's just not, it doesn't feel right going on it. So we're gonna put down the max tracks, see if that levels us out a little bit and keeps us on the hill so we can get down onto the trail. We're just trying to get through this section, hopefully make up time before the sun goes down. It's winter though, and that sun doesn't give us a whole lot of freedom.
So we just got to the end of the road and there's a private property sign. Our route takes us kind of down around the mountains, but we just ran into a local out here and he said one of the Pony Express stops is up here and he restored it. So we're gonna go check it out. Randomly, we just came across him right as we came to this no trespassing sign. This structure is a completely restored Pony Express stop. This is where the mail would change hands and continue on. The horse and the rider could get some rest until the mail came back the other direction. We lucked out catching this rancher. If we had been on our planned schedule, we would not have run into him, and we would have turned back at the no trespassing sign. Instead, we got a chance to walk back in time and get a feel for what it was like being a rider at one of these stops.
So how lucky was that, man?
Dude, talk about timing. If we hadn't gotten stuck, we would have never ran into this guy.
Yeah, and to be honest, I probably would have turned around right at that, no trespassing sign. In fact, I was about to.
And then I saw him happen to be driving out.
To see that he knew a little history of the place and he put in effort to restore it in a way that
It would have been done. I think, honestly, I really think it was better than the
Simpson Springs stop in Utah.
Been an interesting journey with the timing.
True. How far do we have today? 3 o'clock and the sun's going down.
To be determined, I guess.
Cross that bridge when we get there.
If we find the bridge.
Our final night was spent catching up on lost time. But when I think about it, getting to Tahoe really isn't that important. Having an objective motivates us to keep pushing forward, but the real reason to go on a trip like this was to get wrapped up in an adventure. For the last 3 days, we've been completely cut off from the world, and our only focus has been getting from point A to point B. We forget in our busy lives filled with social media and always being connected that sometimes we need to step away from it all and let ourselves be drawn into the unknown. Look at my Jeep.
Yeah. Oh, that's cold.
Oh man.
Yeah. Look at this, man. That's a sign of adventure right there.
I think that's the entire Pony Express on the outside of my Jeep. We're done. We made it to Tahoe. Look at that in the distance. It's beautiful here. That was a fun trip.
Yeah.
Like that was my first real overlanding trip. Being able to do a multi-day and having no idea what's coming next and kind of trying to figure things out. You have a route, you have a map with a line on it, and you follow it. You meet random people. They take you to their ranch. It was crazy.
You make mistakes.
We
You
made
turn around a lot. You lose
made
some
it.
things.
We made a lot of mistakes.
But that was fun.
That was fun. I think I'm sold on overlanding.
Good. Let's do this more.
Let's do it.
I'm proud of you. Good
Hey,
job,
thanks.
dude.
Well, thanks for bringing me. This was a ton of fun.
Thanks for coming along.
Guys, make sure you go check out Justin's video. I'll put it down below in the description. And I'll see you on the next one.
Happy adventures, guys. See you on the trail.